Hey everyone, in this video we're going to talk about how to take the integral of sine and cosine. Alright, so let's look at what I have written in the corner here. So we know that sine and cosine are derivatives of one another, and that the integral is the opposite of the derivative. So it turns out that the integral of sines and cosines follow the same circular pattern as the derivatives of sine and cosine, just going the opposite direction. And notice this arrow represents the integral of our function. Another way to remember this circle is just to remember that whenever we take the integral of sine, it changes the sign of our function. So if our function was positive, it becomes negative. If it was negative, it becomes positive. So let's look at some examples now. So example 1 says, take the integral of sine of x dx. So we know the integral of sine is cosine, and whenever we take the integral of sine, the sign of our function changes. So this becomes negative cosine of x plus c. Because we started with a positive sign, and the sign changes when we take the integral of sine, so it becomes negative cosine. Alright, now let's look at example 2. Example 2 says take the integral of cosine of x dx. So we know the integral of cosine is sine, and whenever we take the integral of cosine, nothing happens to the sign of our function. So this just simply becomes sine of x plus c. Example 3. This says take the integral of negative cosine of x dx. So similar to example 2, we know the integral of cosine is sine, and that whenever we integrate cosine, our sign doesn't change. So since we started off with a negative cosine, we're going to end with a negative sign. And we have to include our plus c because this is an indefinite integral. Alright, example 4. The integral of negative sine of x dx. So we know the integral of sine is cosine, and that whenever we integrate sine, we have to change the sign of our function. So since we started with negative sine of x, and the sign changes, this is going to be positive cosine of x plus c. And this is how we take integrals of sine and cosine. I hope this helps you remember the process, and thanks for watching. If you thought this video was helpful, please subscribe, like, and share with your friends.